468%.
I see you've been hitting the refresh button on your stock portfolio app again.
Can you blame me? I mean, if I told you a company's stock surged 468% in 1 year, what would you think?
I'd probably think it was a meme stock
Mm-hmm.
or, some volatile crypto coin.
Exactly. Or a biotech firm that just cured baldness or something. But no, we're not talking about memes today.
Yeah.
We are looking up, way, way up.
We're talking about Planet Labs, ticker symbol PL.
And as of right now, January 25th, 2026, this company is having a moment that just feels different.
It feels consequential. I think that's the word I'd use.
For the longest time, space stocks just felt like, I don't know, burning cash, Cool ideas, lots of hype, rockets exploding on the launch pad.
And terrible margins. Don't forget the terrible margins.
Why? But Planet Labs just dropped some news that has the market, well, absolutely buzzing.
It really is a pivotal shift. And yeah, that 28% jump just since New Year's is exciting, but the reason for it, that's what we need to unpack.
It's a fundamental change in how the world is consuming data.
Especially governments, yeah.
And the catalyst, the big spark, was a huge deal with the Swedish Armed Forces. We're talking 9 figures.
Which is huge. But before we get totally lost in the zeros on that contract, and trust me, the zeros are important, we should probably zoom out a little.
Set the stage.
Exactly. Because Planet Labs isn't your typical aerospace company. If you're picturing guys in lab coats building one giant 10-year telescope project, just delete that image.
Yeah, they're not selling the rocket. They're not even really selling the satellite hardware itself. They're selling what the satellite sees.
That's the business.
So today on the deep dive, we're going to unpack this explosion in growth. We'll look at their Q3 fiscal 2026 earnings, which have some pretty wild numbers buried in there.
Yeah, we're going to talk about backlog and why in this specific industry, a backlog is actually the holy grail of financial metrics.
We also have to talk about the business model because it's sitting right at the intersection of space tech, AI, and, well, messy geopolitics.
It's the business of transparency. And right now, business is booming.
So let's launch this thing. First off, what is Planet Labs? Because my first thought is always just Google Earth. I type in my address, I see my roof, I'm happy.
Right. And when you look at that house on Google Earth, you probably see the car you owned, 3 years ago?
Exactly. Or the trampoline I sold on Craigslist in 2023 is still in the backyard.
The picture is static. It's old.
That's the old model. It was called the tasking model. You have this massive, maybe billion-dollar satellite, and you have to specifically tell it, go take a picture of Paris.
And since it's so expensive, you maybe get 1 picture a year.
If you're lucky, Planet Labs they flip that whole script.
How?
Instead of one giant satellite, think swarms. They operate a huge fleet, hundreds of them, and they're small, maybe the size of a shoebox.
And because they have so many of them up there, they can do something the old guard couldn't.
They get daily revisit rates. They're scanning the entire landmass of the Earth every single day. Okay, see, that's the part that just blows my mind. A daily scan of the entire Earth.
The whole thing.
So it's not Google Earth. It's like Google Earth with a pulse. A live feed.
That's the perfect way to put it. And that live feed aspect is what transforms the product from, a reference tool into a monitoring tool. A map from last year is useless if you're a farmer. You need to see how your crops look today.
Or if you're tracking illegal deforestation, you need to see it happening, not 6 months after the fact.
Exactly.
Okay, so this brings me to a phrase I saw in the research that I love. AI adjacent. Is that just marketing buzz, or is there something real there?
No, it's legitimate. And it's actually one of their key competitive moats. Think about the scale we just talked about. Millions of images a day. It's a fire hose of data.
Right. You can't hire enough people to just sit and stare at pictures of fields all day.
You can't. So Planet isn't just selling you JPEGs to look at. They sell data that is, and this is the key phrase, machine learning ready. They process it all so an algorithm can just ingest it instantly.
So the robots are looking at the pictures for us.
In a sense, yeah. If you're a hedge fund trying to predict quarterly earnings for a big retailer, you don't count the cars in the parking lot yourself.
You subscribe to Planet's feed, run an AI model over it.
And the AI tells you traffic is up 4% this quarter. It turns the physical world into a spreadsheet.
That is a perfect analogy.
They're selling structured data, the raw fuel that all these powerful AI models need to generate insights.
And that's their moat. It's not just that they have cameras, it's that they have data your computer can actually understand.
Exactly. And that capability is what's leading to this financial explosion, which, brings us right back to the news of the week.
Sweden.
Sweden.
The Swedish deal. Sounds like a spy novel, 9 figures, multi-year.
And it's the third major satellite services contract they've landed in just the last 12 months. That momentum is key. When a national military signs a 9-figure deal, it validates your tech at the highest level.
And it's not just the headlines. The Q3 earnings report backs this up. Record revenue, what was it, $81 million for the quarter.
That $81 million is great. It's solid growth. But if I can put my analyst hat on for a second, that is not the number that has me sitting up straight.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. You're looking at the backlog, aren't you?
I am absolutely looking at the backlog.
Okay, so unpack that for me. A backlog of work usually means I'm behind on chores and I'm stressed out. Why is it a good thing here?
In this world, backlog just means future committed revenue. It's money that customers have already signed a contract to pay you. The service just hasn't been delivered yet, so it's not on the books as revenue.
So it's locked in future money.
It's money in the bank that just hasn't arrived yet. And Planet Labs' backlog has reached $734 million.
Whoa. Sorry, $734 million.
That's an increase of 216% year over year. It's explosive.
That completely changes the narrative, doesn't it?
It does. A couple of years ago, the question was, is this sustainable? Is it just a cool novelty? Now, with nearly $750 million in committed contracts, you have visibility. You know the cash is coming.
And the sources say over 80% of those are multi-year contracts.
Which is the dream scenario. You're not waking up on January 1st wondering where this year's revenue will come from. You start the year knowing you're already paid.
Okay, that explains why the market cap is now sitting at $8.5 billion.
And why the stock is up 28% in just the first 3 weeks of this year. The market is pricing in that future stability.
So, we know they're selling this real-time, AI-ready view of the world, and we know they're making money. But who else is buying? We have the Swedish Armed Forces. Is it all military?
Defense is certainly driving the headlines right now. I mean, let's be realistic. Geopolitical instability is a major, major driver for this kind of tech.
It makes sense. If you're worried about your neighbor, you can't rely on rumors. You want to see the tanks or the ships, and you want to see it now.
Exactly. You want to lift the fog of war. But to your question, no, it isn't just spies and soldiers.
Right. The sources mention climate and commerce.
Agriculture is a huge vertical. Big agricultural companies use this data to monitor crop health across continents. They can spot a drought in Brazil weeks before it hits the news.
So they can price commodities better.
Precisely. Or think about insurance. A hurricane hits the coast.
Yeah.
Insurance companies can see the roof damage from space before the roads are even clear enough for adjusters to get in.
It's a pretty diverse customer base then, but I do want to go back to the defense stuff for a second. That feels like the biggest lever right now.
It's the fastest growing lever, yes.
But isn't that kind of a double-edged sword?
That is a very, very good point. And the sources point this out. Geopolitical tension creates customers, absolutely. But it also creates volatility.
There was that example in the notes about Greenland.
Yes, that is a fascinating case study. There was a period where tensions were running high between some European allies and the U.S. over Greenland.
And you'd think, great, more tension, more people want to look at Greenland.
You'd think so. But Planet's shares actually went down during that incident.
Why?
Because political tension brings scrutiny. It brings regulatory pressure. If governments start fighting, they might restrict who Planet can sell data to. They could impose export controls.
So the U.S. government could just step in and say, hey, Planet, you're an American company. You can't sell pictures of this area to that country anymore.
Exactly. And if that country is a major customer, your revenue just took a hit.
So being in the war and peace business means your stock chart might look a little erratic.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Regulatory and political pressures are a very real threat here. You're operating in space, which is governed by complex treaties, and you're selling sensitive data. It's a minefield.
Okay, that's a perfect transition to the risks. Because I see these numbers, 468% growth, and I'm tempted to do something rash. Talk me down.
All right, let's pump the brakes for a second. Despite all the hype and that massive backlog, we have to look at the bottom line. Planet Labs is not profitable on a GAAP basis yet.
And GAAP basis means, like, by the strict accounting rules, they were still losing money.
Correct. Now, They are slowing their cash burn, and their adjusted EBITDA is positive, which is a good sign. It shows the core operations are healthy. But they aren't generating a true net profit yet.
And why is that? Just the cost of growth.
Partially, but also, space is expensive.
Right. The shipping costs to get a camera into orbit must be a little higher than Amazon Prime.
Just a bit. Satellites are capital intensive. You build them, you launch them, you maintain them. And the thing about these low Earth orbit satellites,
Yeah.
they don't last forever.
They don't just stay up there for 20 years.
No. These smaller doves are in lower orbits. Atmospheric drag eventually pulls them down. They last maybe 3 to 5 years. Then they burn up on re-entry.
So you're constantly on a hamster wheel. You have to keep building and launching just to maintain the fleet.
It's a constant recurring cost. Unlike a software company that writes code once and sells it 1,000,000 times, Planet has to keep building hardware to keep selling data.
That puts a ceiling on the margins, I guess.
It does. Their gross margin is around 58%, which is great for a hardware-adjacent business, but it's not the 80 or 90% you see in pure software.
What about the customer side of things? You mentioned the Swedish deal was like a whale,
And that's the other major risk, customer concentration.
relying too much on the big fish.
Right. If you have 1,000,000 users paying $10 a month, losing one doesn't matter. But Planet relies on these few, highly lucrative contracts,
Like Sweden.
like Sweden. If one of those falls through, or a government decides not to renew because of budget cuts, the stock could get crushed.
And you can't just run a Facebook ad to find another country's Ministry of Defense.
No. The source material describes the sales cycle as slow and arduous.
Slow and arduous, not words you want to hear.
Selling to a government takes months, sometimes years, of vetting and security clearances and bureaucracy. So while that $734 million backlog is fantastic, it took a very long time to build.
So, summarizing the investment verdict here, the sources call it high risk, high reward.
That's the fair assessment. This is a stock for investors who can stomach volatility. If, and it's a big if they reach true profitability and keep stacking these contracts, the upside is substantial.
But the floor is shaky.
The floor is shaky, a regulatory wall, a string of launch failures, a global recession. Any of those could get ugly fast.
Definitely not a stock for the faint of heart. But it is a fascinating company. They really have pivoted from just a cool space startup to a serious contractor.
They have. They proved the technology works at scale. That was hurdle number one. Now they have to prove the business model can work at scale, long-term, and generate profit.
You know, talking about all this, I keep coming back to the bigger picture. We're moving into a world where nothing is hidden anymore.
That's the reality. The days of moving an army in secret are over.
So here's the thought I want to leave everyone with. As Planet Labs gets more and more military contracts like Sweden's, are they still just a commercial data company?
It's a valid question. The line is definitely blurring.
Are they slowly becoming a defense contractor, a mini Lockheed Martin? And if they really do have a live feed of the world, what happens when everyone subscribes to it?
That is the ultimate game theory question, isn't it?
Yeah. If Sweden has the data and their potential adversaries have the exact same data, does it just cancel out?
Mutually assured observation.
Exactly. Does it create this weird, radical transparency where nobody can make a surprise move?
It completely changes the calculus of conflict. If surprise becomes impossible, your entire strategy has to change.
It's a fascinating thought to chew on. We're watching the world change in real time. Literally.
Indeed.
Well, that's it for this deep dive. Next time you look up at the night sky, just remember, something might be looking back down.
And it's probably counting the cars in your driveway.
Yeah, hopefully just the cars. Thanks for listening, everyone.
See you next time.